Hello, guys, and welcome back to another deck profile here by Double Sleeves. And today we finally have cracked the top eight in the first, which probably is a long time. We haven't really been playing too much, and Ryan obviously jumped back into the fray and took himself Margin Vegeta. Came, was it fifth? I think it was Ryan. You ended up.
Sixth place.
Sorry,
Sixth.
gave you a bit too much credit, but sixth place here with Ryan ended up securing himself this serialized Goku. He can now brag about it to everyone in the double sleeve chat because none of us have actually managed to accomplish that. So big shout out to Ryan. We thought we'd get a profile out from him as well, so we can kind of get you guys into it. But with that, Ryan, first off, obviously congratulations. Has been a while since we actually did one on ourselves, but obviously it's time now with this top eight finish. So, Ryan, if you want, take us away with your deck, your profile itself, what you kind of did, what your matchups were, and everything like that, and yeah, take it away, man.
Yeah, like you said, we haven't been playing that much over the last couple of months, but um, shout out to Phillip, obviously the world champ. He took this deck to a regional and won with it a couple of weeks back, and it definitely piqued my interest. Just having another good yellow deck being back in the picture. So full credit to the deck, to him if he did build it, or to whoever actually did. I guess just not being able to play as much, been a bit harder to kind of put something together. But without a doubt, this starter deck is extremely good for any kind of new player trying to get into it. Just the package itself is really strong. The leader, pretty standard. When you attack, you draw one. Awaken when your life is at 4 or less, or if you have 2 or more energy and a yellow Sun Goku with an energy cost of 2 in play, you get to draw one, untap one, and take your life down to 5, which is good compared to other leaders, which take you down to 6. On the Awaken side, again, when you attack, you draw one. We've got to activate main/battle. We switch one of our SS2 Sun Goku Destined Battle, I believe it's called. So a specific Goku or Trunks to rest mode, and then you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards or unisons and switch them to rest mode. So a lot of interaction on both players' turn to kind of rest things. And an activate battle once per turn, which makes this card really strong, is you get to add one card from your life to your hand, and then this card gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. It definitely comes in a lot. There's a lot of times where you might just take a 15k attack, and instead you can just take that life and buff your leader inherently for the turn. So it definitely does come up a lot. But the package for the deck is pretty small, which just leaves so much space for yellow good cards. We've got the specific Goku. It's unique. If it's your turn, when this card gets switched to rest mode by your leader skill, you get to draw one. And until the end of your opponent's next turn, this card can't be KO'd by your leader skill, which is specific to your Z leader. And then, although if you have a yellow Vegeta card in play or in your Z energy, at the start of your opponent's main phase, you get to restand this card, which is good because then you can then switch to rest mode on your opponent's turn, and it also gains blocker as well. And you play it for 1 if you have 2 or more energy. So on your second turn, if you have this in hand, you can play it and then awaken. You definitely want to mull for this card. And then to partner with it, we have the Margin Vegeta. It's a 15k with Servant, and when it attacks, you get to KO a battle card in rest mode 5 or less. And if you have 3 or more energy and a Goku in play or in your Z energy, this card gains double strike as well. You also play this one for 1 yellow energy, and if you have 2 or more energy, and you get to draw a card as well. So both really strong. They obviously partner really well together, and the Vegeta obviously needs a Son Goku in play or in your Z energy, which again just partners really well with the Son Goku and Vegeta Ultimate Duo. This card can also help you awaken, but you can't play it until your opponent has 2 or more energy. So it's not as easy to play out as the one from the starter deck, but it's again just 1 energy, and you get to play a 20k double striker. And when this card is played, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, negate that card's skills, and KO it. So it's probably one of the best answers to the Android 21 SCR at the moment, obviously with that permanent being able to negate that and then KO it. A card that so many people have on the radar at the moment is the new Sin promo. It's got a lot of keywords being kind of deflect, barrier, uh, blocker, and I think there's one other one. It's just unique, and it's a counterplay. You get to draw a card, and it's a 24k, which is really difficult to kind of get over, especially having barrier as well and being able to block. And the auto on this card just makes it really good. So when your opponent plays a battle card, you get to negate that card's skills, and if you do, you get to switch this card to active mode, so it can block twice. You can attack on your opponent's turn, and if they play a floodgate or anything, you can restand it. And it's got a permanent, so it gets reduced if you have 7 or more cards in Z energy, battle area, drop area, and energy. Not energy, sorry. Z energy, battle area, and drop reduces it down to a 2 cost. So a really strong counterplay, and it's definitely brought yellow back. Zarbon. A lot of people kind of put this into the deck to restand the Servant Vegeta, but over the course of the day, I found myself restanding kind of the blockers more so. Just a great way to restand the Sin, restand the Goku after you've blocked as well. But I think being able to restand the Vegeta is really good as well, because then you just have another attack. 3 copies of Vegito. We've seen how strong Mecha Frieza has been in the format since its introduction, and Vegito is just another way to put a restriction on your opponent's attacks. Just a great counterplay, and if your opponent attacks with a non-leader card, they have to rest one of their active mode cards. That's kind of the reason to play the card. It's obviously a blocker as well, so it can just kind of shut down that leader attack and force your opponent to start resting cards. 2 SS3 Son Goku, a card that I was kind of tossing up whether I wanted to keep it within the deck. It just didn't seem like it was going to come up all that much, but over the course of the day, it actually did help me a lot just to be able to tap down my opponent's energy when I was going in for game and things like that. And it doesn't have dual attack, but you do have the option to restand it. So you play it for 2 with an activate main if your leader is a yellow Z leader, or you have a Z battle card in play, and if your opponent has 3 or more energy. And when it attacks, you get to rest one of your opponent's cards, ignoring barrier, or KO a battle card in rest mode. More often than not, I was using it just to rest a card. And if all the cards in your battle area are in rest mode, you can restand this card. So being able to tap down 2 things is just really strong. If your opponent only has 1 energy up, it kind of forces them into a negate. Black Kamehameha, just again, a really good card to play on your opponent's turn. Being able to get the +10, rest 2 cards, and draw a card. There were a lot of situations where I was using this kind of early on just to cycle through the deck and just to find my Gokus and Vegetas. 3 Time Magic, a card that's kind of come back into the yellow decks of recent, just with the amount of dual attackers, being able to negate and prevent a card from restanding, and you have the option to sparking as well. 2 Cooler. Didn't really find myself playing this card that much. I didn't play it at all throughout the day, but there was a lot of situations that I had this in hand, and if my opponent did negate, then I would have used it to close out the game, but they just didn't negate it, so it wasn't needed. But definitely always want to keep that at 1. 3 Krillin Super Combo, standard, and obviously we're running the Gohan Piccolo Secret Rare, so just 3 of those, and Mecha Frieza as well, just a card that since its introduction has just been a staple in yellow decks and just so difficult to play around. Tyrannical Blow, we see so many floodgates and cards that ramp and are a bit crucial for the deck, for other decks I should say, that Tyrannical Blow can just kind of shut down their turn or slow them down enough that we can put a lot more pressure on them with our cards and kind of get to the next turn. 2 Secret Identity, just to clear some boards on cards that we can't KO. A lot of our KO effects are for cards in rest mode, so Secret Identity is just a great way to kind of clean up the board on cards we can't interact with. 2 Metacooler, which just offer a free negate if you have your Z leader or a Z battle card in play. And I didn't use this card at all. I sided it out a lot in my matchups, and I see the value of the card. It just didn't really come up where I needed it or that I was wanting to play it. I guess it was just perhaps my matchups. I'm sure there's a great kind of utility for this card, but yeah, it just didn't really come up for me. Power of a Super Saiyan, just a great card to rest things and draw another card, and it's in the gate if you need it. Poutine, we have so many easy ways to rest cards just built into the leader that if you see this in your opening hand, it's just a great way to play it. So much is played by skills, you can get a lot of value off Poutine. And then the Majin Buu is just a one cost 30k double striker if you have 4 or more energy, and it did come up in those later games just to put a lot of pressure on my opponents. The Bergamo, and this actually came up a couple of times in my matchup against the Beerus ramp deck, just being able to rest things with my leader and then tap down his energy so that he had less energy to work with. Yeah, it's a bit of a niche card, and not one that I was thinking of running, but I decided to put it in anyway, and it did come up. The one Final Flash, yellow decks just have to respect, well, any deck going against yellow has to respect Final Flash. And the Secret Rare, just so great at being able to get a 30k combo for free if your opponent has 5 cards in rest mode, and then being able to get the 40k on play and just draw cards on play and on attack is just really strong. But yeah, that free 30k combo power is just what makes the SCR so extremely good. Moving into the Z deck, we've got our Z Leader. It's really strong. It's 2 Z Energy, Z Awaken, essentially for no actual energy requirement when your life is at 3 or less over that specific Majin Vegeta. It's got a Z stack mechanic, so when you do Z Awaken, you get to put a battle card with an energy cost of 3 or less underneath, and we've got some great ways to play those cards from out underneath. Unlike the normal leader, it's just an activate main, not an activate main and / battle to switch one of your Son Goku cards or Trunks to rest mode. So that did come up a fair bit as well. There were a lot of times where I was in battle and I wanted to switch the Goku to rest, but didn't have that option. It is now an activate main. But on the plus side of that, you get to draw off your leader when you switch the Goku to rest mode and then rest one of your opponent's battle cards. So we do lose the ability to rest unisons as well on the Z leader, but we get to draw off the leader and draw off the Goku as well. And then we've got the activate battle. So we add all of our cards from our life until we have 1 left over. The leader gains plus 15,000 double strike, and we choose all battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO them. So it's a complete board wipe and a really big buff onto what is already a 20k base Z leader. There were a lot of situations where I would use my leader's activate battle when I knew that I was going to pop the board wipe just to get the plus 5k and take the life, since I knew that I was going to go down to 1 anyway, and just have a 25k base leader. But I found myself using the kind of all-in board wipe offensively more than defensively, just to close out games, just being able to get up to a 40k base leader, just for taking all of my life in combination with things like the Secret Rare. It's just an extremely efficient way to deal those last 2 damage. One of the cards that you mainly find yourself putting underneath the leader is the Goku. It also has a Z stack mechanic if you play it from the Z deck. But when this card attacks, you get to choose one of your Prince of Destruction Vegetas and you switch to active mode. And then this card, you get to choose one of your opponent's cards in rest mode, KO it, and then this card gains plus 10,000 power. So you get a 25k attack here, and you get to restand your Servant Vegeta for another 25k double strike. We ran 2 copies of the Goku just because we knew that it was going to come up a fair bit of wanting to restand the Vegeta, and you put one under your Z leader as well. So you just want to have another one in the deck. Fu, it's a dual attacker. You can, when this card is played, it can't be removed by your battle area by skills until the end of your opponent's next turn. An activate main for 1 yellow energy. If your leader is a yellow Vegeta Z leader and you have a yellow Son Goku in play, you get to play this card from under your leader or battle card. So if you do Z stack it from a Goku or put it underneath your leader, you've got another option to play it. And an Activate battle once per turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch to rest mode. So just a great way to rest blockers and things like that. And it's a 19k dual attack. Oolong, it's just a staple. When you combine it with the Gohan, it's just a really great way to close out games. And Vegeta and Goku, which are both just, again, yellow Z deck staples. Vegeta's just good barrier removal, and the Goku's just good ways to lock out your opponent's leader from attacking for a turn, and just offers some great ways to rest cards on play and just be a bit more disruptive, which is pretty much what yellow wants to do. Moving into the sideboard, I did play around with this a little bit, but some of it's just pretty generic. Another 2 copies of Tyrannical Blow. I slotted this in a fair bit for a lot of decks that had floodgates and things like that, or cards that I knew that they wanted to play on turn 2 that might ramp them in energy or something like that. It was just a great way to shut down a turn. 2 Trunks the Cunning, pretty much for Android 21, just to stop their big boss monster from untapping 5, or any other deck that might be running the Kaioken SCR that might want to kind of untap all their energy to basically restart their turn. Koitakai, any floodgate decks or decks that just want to spam out low-cost cards and things like that. I knew that there would be Bulma running around, a lot of Margin Vegeta and yellow decks that this would be pretty helpful for. Gohan Unison was pretty much, just for those yellow decks that might be wanting to sit on the back of Mecha Frieza. It just offers a great way to deal with that. It's really strong and offers a lot of value, being able to draw cards and have a really strong -3. Black Smoke, again, for those yellow decks, it's just a great way to remove their sin. And decks like Gamma and Gogeta that have really strong 2-cost unisons, it's just a great way to offer removal for those. Jiren is just for Android 21, Turning the Tide, and Release from Evil for Gamma or any other deck that's mainly some red decks that have really strong kind of boss monsters that can deal a lot of pressure. You don't want to get forced into a situation where you have to pop your board wipe on a Z leader without it being the right time. So it's just a great way to negate skills on cards. And the last 2 cards was Vegeta Unison of Fury. It's just a great way to slow down the red Gogeta deck and some other red and green decks that want to play high-cost energy cards early on. So it can just really slow down that matchup so that you can get to some of your removal and start controlling the board and the game from there. But it's a pretty standard Margin Vegeta list. It's definitely a great introduction deck for a lot of people that are new to Dragon Ball. Obviously, a lot of the cards being from the starter deck and from more recent sets, it's just an easy way to kind of get into the deck and into the game. But outside of that, I had some decent matchups, a lot of ramp decks. I played the 3 energy Gohan round 1. He just didn't really have an answer for Mecha Frieza, and it was difficult for him to continue to attack. Round 2, I lost to Blake, who was also playing Margin Vegeta. He was able to remove my Goku quite easily, and I couldn't find another one. And from there, he controlled the board really well and just got a lot more value for his cards. Round 3, I played Beerus Ramp, which I knew was a tough matchup because I didn't have Death Blaster in my sideboard to deal with the 6-drop Vegeta. But I did find a way just to close out the game before he got to 16. I was able to tap his blocker and all in on my Z leader to close it out. Round 4, I played Android 21, which is, just a difficult matchup as well. Obviously, Android 21 SCR gets a lot of value for decks that want to have a bit of a wider board. And it was, again, just on the back of the Z leader, I was able to close out the game. Round 5, another mirror match against Benny, who is obviously very well experienced. It was just a bit of back and forth on who could control each other's boards. And it got to a situation where I was able to, again, just rely on the Z leader to close out the game with the SCR. I was able to keep 4 cards in rest mode, and he tapped out, so I knew that his SCR wasn't an option, and just felt like the right time to try and close out the game. And then round 6 was again against another Android 21 who played that deck really well as well. He SCR'd me to go back up to 6 life, but had tapped out. So I knew that it was my only turn to kind of try and close out the game. And thankfully on the last attack, I was able to push through for the win and yeah, get that 6th place. But outside of that, yeah, it was a really great event. It was great to be back playing Dragon Ball again and obviously do quite well to get within that top 8. But yeah, it was great to be back, to obviously get a deck profile for the channel as well. And for, again, anyone looking to pick up a nice yellow deck, Margin Vegeta is definitely a really strong option to go. But outside of that, obviously, as always, if you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, chuck a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. And hopefully we'll see you with another top 8 profile from someone else on the channel for once. As always, thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys. Take care.